I'll entertain you briefly while Donna Moore is from a company called StopItPro, which goes great with this conversation about bystanders because she's got a great tool. So they are one of our sponsors at the conference, and so in exchange, we had said you have this great software that we want you to demonstrate. So she's going to show us a little bit about that. While she's getting set up, I just wanted to see if you guys noticed my shirt. If you want one, you can get one. Hollister, which is a clothing line, they do shirts for causes sometimes. So if you go to hollister.com and type in no bully, they are a nonprofit organization that does bullying in schools, or they don't do bullying in schools, they stop bullying in schools. If you order a shirt, then part of the proceeds go to that organization. No Bully is the nonprofit, and this is Hollister is where the shirt comes from, which is a clothing line.
Hollister?
Yeah, Hollister, the store. Yeah, but I think you can probably only get them online. And they have a couple of options. Oh, good. You got perfect. So actually, since I'll just tell you a little bit about them, I really like working with them because they take the idea that they have to stop bullying in schools by changing the school culture. So they have a really innovative way of stopping school-age bullying. They train only teachers. They don't go in and do assemblies and all that kind of stuff like a lot of kids' school-age bullying programs do. They go in and teach teachers how to be kind of guidance counselors, regarding bullying specifically, and they call it the solution team. So what they do is bring a group of students together, including the bully, and they just say, they don't call people out and say, you're bullying, stop bullying this person. They just say, such and such feels bullied. What do you guys think we should do about it? And that's it. And they let the students do the talking. And the students come up with ideas, including the bully, and so it creates this sort of protective barrier around the student that's feeling bullied, and it includes the bully themselves. So it's a really innovative, cool way of doing it. So check it out. So now that Donna's ready, so thank you so much, Donna. Donna's got a great voice. Her accent is awesome. So enjoy her presentation.
From New York. So anyway, thank you very much for having me. This is a very enlightening discussion. I was just at a conference yesterday for the Corporate Responsibility Association, and the word workplace bullying is not really mentioned. I've been advised by many HR, ethics and compliance, legal executives that you don't really address bullying, you don't even mention it as you are trying to present your problem. When you get in there, you can talk about it, but we're going to talk about discrimination and whistleblowing and inappropriate behavior, both online and offline. So like I said, it's very, very enlightening because it is a huge issue. You know, way back when when I was a kid, you're pushing around in the playground and that's it. You go home. Now everything is technology. It follows you. There's Facebook, there's Instagram. There's every which way that this bullying cannot get away from you. And it happens day in and day out. So really what I'm going to also tell you is there are financial repercussions to an organization. You create this negative undercurrent within your company, and you now have a culture. We look to deter and mitigate the risk associated with any of this inappropriate behavior, right? We want to create what's called a community of kindness and foster more of that upstander and bystander. We don't want people just saying, well, I saw it, but I didn't really want to say anything because they're fearing for their job. Somebody saw them walk into HR. So here's some numbers, right? It's $300 billion a year, that's lost for an organization due to workplace stress. We talked about the, stress, that's absenteeism, I call it presenteeism, where I'm here at work, but I'm not really here. I have to be here because I need to collect a paycheck. But I'm so stressed out, I can't even deal with work. I'm afraid my boss is gonna say something, so I'm just gonna sit here and do not one thing and wait till it's time to leave at 5 o'clock. Harassment, companies are paying lots of, payouts, and there's lawsuits, that are being paid out. 65 million employees are mistreated every year. There are large numbers that nobody wants to really address, but it is a very well-known fact, very well documented. The increase in mistreatment, everybody's under stress, everybody's under deadlines. But it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse to mistreat your fellow employee or to say, well, you don't like to get another job, because that seems to be a very common, thought out there as well. Just in 2013, there were 12,000 discrimination class action lawsuits that were filed. Okay, now, also for an organization, if I am now being discriminated or bullied against, let's say my boss doesn't like me, so I get the worst workload, I never get a promotion, but the person next to me gets a promotion, and now I'm done. I'm sick of it, I am leaving, right? It's gonna cost the organization 1.5 times my salary to replace me. That also is a financial bearing on the bottom line for a company. And these are things that they need to think about. If they just took the time to foster a better community and empower their employees, they would retain their workers. You could recruit. That's also a recruiting tool that we're telling organizations, that you could say we have a tool like this because we don't tolerate, this mistreatment or this harassment or inappropriate behavior. So really what we say is you want to empower your employees, right? The best leverage that a company has is their employees, because you want to know what? Somebody's seen something. There is not one incident that's gone down that somebody did not know about it. Now, Volkswagen, you see in the automotive industry, a lot of these are products, lawsuits costing billions and billions and billions of dollars. But somebody knew, hundreds of people knew, but nobody said anything because they were told to keep it under wraps, or they wanted to keep their job. Now it's all blown up. I do believe the truth always does come out, and now it has, and they're in some serious financial trouble. So, like I said, they know the risk before you do. Like I said, there's always little talk around the water cooler, and everybody's like, oh my God, did you hear what so-and-so did? Like, nobody wants to take that action. So really what it is, the tool that I'm going to show you, it basically empowers and it turns your workforce into real-time, 24/7 compliance managers. So they're your ears and eyes within the organization, because what you don't know, maybe a CEO, nobody's going to go knock on his door and say, hey, listen, you may want to check this out and see what's happening. There are ways now that individuals can bring that to light. There is a history of it, so that there is, the proper action that can be taken. So, like I said, it's just a proactive way to address it in real time. You're going to have your employees uphold your corporate and regulatory policies. Everybody has them out there. Everybody's trained on sexual discrimination and harassment and all of that, because you have to, right? Everybody has an 800 number. The reality is that you're in a 2-hour meeting, stuff is happening in this meeting. There comes a point in time when I leave the meeting, and I've seen this all happen, that I know that, okay, I should go get the 800 number, but it's on page 47 of a 200-page employee manual. Now, do I really want to get involved? Do I really want to send an email? And now I've done nothing. So, there's that also as well. We live in a world we're tied to our cell phones. Like I said, it's a simple, fast, powerful way, this tool, of, ways to kind of just mitigate. If I know that the person sitting next to me has the same tool everybody else in the company has, I may think twice about being a jerk to the next person next to me, because somebody could report that. It's also a way for organizations to keep track of trends, maybe in certain areas or certain managers, where, somebody's like, well, why didn't I get promoted? Well, actually, we have a little bit of a history going on, or you can train them. Say, maybe we want to, talk to our employees differently, or, just bring them up to speed on better ways to manage. So it's a nice, effective tool, like I said, that organizations can use. So I'm going to show you from my phone what this tool does. You should see mine. Okay, so here's my cell phone. I'm in a meeting, I need to record something. And I'm just gonna say,
I love it.
I am being,
That's why we invited her. Thought you might.
I am being bullied, right? So I can also, if I have a video, if I'm supporting documentation, I can now send this along with that. So as an organization, there are certain people that will get the reports, right? Your HR, your compliance, your ethics, whoever it is, you can set up a hierarchy in regards to, you don't want to be bombarded with everything, there's a super user, all that kind of stuff. But anyway.
You can even video the person
Yeah,
yelling at you, right?
You can video it, you can do
Video
all of
them.
that, yes.
Absolutely.
So now send, and my report is
That,
submitted.
that will help.
Just put on YouTube.
There you go.
But is it,
Just put it on YouTube.
That's
Video it and
That's
stick it on
it.
YouTube.
this is what I have to deal with every day.
Is this affected by any privacy laws?
Yeah, that's
You
it.
can't necessarily
Mhm.
record somebody without them.
Tell them I'm recording. Keep going.
Just hold your phone up.
I'm recording.
Go ahead.
Tell them.
Because both of them know.
All you have to do
Yeah,
is
that's
tell
the
them.
point. You have to let the other person know.
That's what I'm saying, just tell them. Just tell them. They can
You
even
tell
stop.
Wow.
Well, in Virginia, we can record anything we want. They've been hiding stuff for
We're
years.
just waiting for it to
Don't
connect
matter.
to the internet. So what'll happen is now this incident is gonna come in, and then now on the back end, the administrators can manage the incident, right? You can assign a label to it.
And they know who's sending it, correct?
Yes.
So here's the thing, it's anonymous. You can turn off the anonymous button. So if you want, there are some companies that have said to us, you know what? We don't want them to be anonymous. We want them, we want to know who's reporting it. What's nice though is because if they can report it anonymously, we have something called, it's a two-way messenger, right? It's an anonymous way to messenger back and forth, right? So somebody could say, Joe has a gun. Well, there's 500 Joes in the company, right? And you can now, as I'm the administrator, I can just say, okay, which Joe is this?
Oh, some of us were having problems with it too.
But I can talk you through it. Like I said, we can go through. I'm not going to hold up the time. So what happens is the document comes in real time. I click on it on the incident, and then what happens? It now shows what my text was, and when I said I was being bullied, as I can say now, type, "Are you okay? Where are you?" And it's you're getting more information. It's also a way to validate that this is an incident because I get the pushback. Well, really, somebody can just make something up. So now you can kind of say, well, are you being harassed? Are you okay? Where are you? Things of that nature. You can assign it to another individual within the organization. You can escalate it outside. If this is an ongoing case, you can escalate it and send it out to outside counsel, right? Then what you can do is you have all of the different categories. Is this harassment? Is it bullying? Is it a physical threat? So you can categorize it. So it's a way to just compartmentalize it, keep it in a neat folder and a concise way because believe it or not, there's a lot of organizations that have great technology, great IT back end, their CRMs, but they're still using old technology. It's Excel, it's in somebody's email, and they just don't get to it, and these things sit out there and they fester. There's also real-time stamping in terms of the activity log, so I'll see when the incident came in, all the actions that were taken. So if it does go, to litigation, I have everything, and I have what I've done. In large organizations, sometimes too, there's a policy that says, it'll take us, we'll respond within 24 hours. You can put those type of messages on it as well. You can deactivate users if somebody seems to be maliciously just reporting things that are unfounded, and you put that disclaimer out there. There are views, you can see who's a repeated perpetrator, who's a repeated target, are there repeated areas, stores that are maybe constantly subjected to fraud. You can see the patterns of behavior, you can see the patterns very, very clearly. You can also set alerts, right? Large organizations, somebody can say, I don't have time to sit here and get 50,000 emails about incidents. So what you do is you set alerts. If I get 3, alerts from store 57, please alert me. We also route it where, certain companies that have many stores. So certain stores are assigned to an HR manager. They can get automatically routed there. So there's just ways to make it simple, concise, and just fast to really manage and oversee, all the incidents or the cases, as they call them. But, like I said, really it's just a way to keep everything in line, compliant, very easy to get to. And it also takes that fear of retaliation. I now know that nobody's seen me go into HR. Nobody said, okay, well, Donna went in there, so I know she must have said something. And now, she's really gonna feel the pain of it. You know, you don't have that because that's what that fear is sometimes. And it's just, you know, like I said, sometimes it's gonna make somebody think twice. Maybe I really shouldn't do this because, you know, now my company is taking it seriously that we don't tolerate this type of behavior, and we do wanna put an end to it. So if at some point I can get the back-end reporting to come up again with the connection, otherwise I can show you, you know, later on. But really the main thing is, like I said, there are tools out there. It is a big problem, and we want to just kind of sweep it under the table. We've had many discussions. I've been advised with our marketing department, they've told us don't put bullying in your material. But it is something that is out there, but we're seeing it being brought up more and more and more. But it's kind of still a little bit taboo. But, you know, like I said, it is, you know, the corporate world is evolving. You know, just to tell you also where the company started, is it did start in the K-12 market, right? I don't know if, well, some people will remember Amanda Todd. She was a teenager who was bullied, and she did a movie, a video with index cards of how she was bullied, and then she committed suicide. So the president of our company started it because of that, and actually Amanda Todd's mother, Carol Todd, is on our board. So she endorses this, and you know, like I said, this is a problem that migrates. It's not just a problem with school-age children. You know, everybody is on their phones. Nobody wants to talk to each other, but I'll tell you quickly, people can put out a message on Facebook that spreads like wildfire.
Yep.
Glassdoor, any of these companies, somebody puts a bad review, first place anybody's looking, a lot of times when they're looking for a job, they're gonna say, well, what is everybody saying? You know, and you want to just kind of deter that and, you know, like I said, just make it a better place to work. So, you know, I'm open to any questions, but I do want to thank you for your time. I apologize. I don't know what I did when I disconnected it.
I have a question. Yeah, of course. You know, one thing we're talking about is that employers it's hard to sell them on the problem of bullying, and that's why we have to have these kinds of conferences. So how do you sell this to CEOs, or are you already getting people who, you know, like the easy sells where they call you, like, we know there's a problem and we need
Well, they are embracing it. We do also have another tool behind it, which is a workplace calculator. So it takes the statistics that I talked about, 1.5 times somebody's salary, absenteeism, legal costs. And, you know, we just take the number of employees and we plug it in there. We said, well, this is potentially what it could cost you. And it just kind of opens their eyes and opens it up for discussion. You know, they understand bullying, but we have to talk about it in their terms and in their verbiage. And it's, you know, inappropriate behavior online and offline, harassment, unfair, you know, delegation of workload. So it's still a little bit of a challenge, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
There was a discussion earlier about, or a suggestion rather, that somebody could go outside of that agency and not HR if the HR is unwilling to engage or even to consider that the problem of workplace bullying is within that organization. Does this product interface perhaps with agencies outside of that particular organization, so that there is another witness outside that knows that this thing is happening here?
So there's a few different ways to handle that. So sometimes there are different websites or different back-end systems that we can integrate into. We also have on the app a Get Help button. And the Get Help button, what that does, it's a few things. So for universities as well, it replaces kind of that blue box. So, you know, you get help, it goes right to campus security. Get Help can also be connected to your 800 number or an outside agency, so it absolutely can be, you know, can coexist with another entity to help the individual.
You know, because when I first saw that, I said, oh, what an interesting security measure. Not even associated with bullying, even though that's where our topic is, but security measure, you think about the receptionist, and I am in the housing field, and so it doesn't matter who walks in, there can always be a potential, and it has happened before. But that's interesting for like your receptionist, your lobby, that type
Absolutely.
You know,
There's so
for
many
the app, you know, we used to have the red buttons, you used to have the code word, you know,
Exactly.
things like that.
Because everybody has their cell phone. Every
Everyone's
single
got their
person
cell
has their
phone.
cell phone.
Yes.
They get it.
Yes.
Somebody will respond to a text or an email faster
Absolutely.
than a telephone call. Somebody texts you like, oh, you know, you feel
Yeah.
compelled to answer it right
Yeah.
away. You know,
Angry citizen.
yeah, the Coast Guard came to us and they wanted to use it for safety measures, right?
Yes.
So let me take a picture and send it, and you know, we start troubleshooting it on the back end. So there are a lot of use cases for the app, but the main thing is really to deter the behavior, which is where it needs to start, and just have no tolerance or less tolerance as organizations and as individuals for, you know, behavior that is detrimental to a company, to an individual.
I'm sorry, another question is, with the increasing profile for Title IX on college campuses, and some of the weight that, you know, the Department of Education has thrown behind Title IX, unfortunately, we don't see the same weight, sorry, EOC, the same weight thrown behind Title VII, but for Title IX, would a device like this, now Title IX requires that universities take measures and take responsibility for making their campuses safe.
Right.
So the blue boxes, lighting, escort services, and so on. That is the purview and the responsibility of the campuses. Would this device take away some of that?
100%.
So that
So
then
it will
now-
make it easier. So we're working with Title IX coordinators, provosts, also at universities, to get help. This is what would, in essence, replace your blue box, right? Because I'm at a frat party, my friends left me, I don't even know where they are, what's going on. I'm feeling kind of freaked out because I'm feeling really threatened. I don't even know what to do right now. I hit get help. It's gonna go to campus security. They're gonna know where you are. You know, you can text back and forth. Are you okay? Where are you? And you know, they can come immediately, because you know what? A blue box may not be in the room that I'm in. A blue box may be down on that corner.
Right.
And before I get to that corner, God knows what's gonna happen. So this is in my hands at all times. It's easily accessible, and it's just very fast, quick, easy way to get help.
So in addition to, as opposed to replace.
In addition, right, it's,
Right,
it
because
is- right.
that
you-
puts undue responsibility on the victim to even have their wits about them, to even have the app on their phone, to have a cell phone. What if the cell phone has been knocked out of their hand?
Right,
What
we
if
wouldn't take it away 100%.
multiple aggressors,
Right.
you know, the multiple scenarios, so.
You wanna keep your
An additional-
population safe, right? So yeah, maybe they don't have it, it's,
Right.
the phone died, who knows, whatever. You
Right.
still have the other mechanisms, but this is just a more modern, simple, faster way to do it as well. It's just an alternative, but we're finding that it's, because of the way of the world and with technology, it's just something that's easily used.
So, with this program, are you using this, also we're considering using it at the K-12 level?
So we do use it in the K-12. It started with K-12
Excellent.
because of the cyberbullying, and then it's naturally migrated into the university and into the workplace.
And
Because
so,
it,
one of my questions related to that then is, like, K-12 has the sort of safe zone measures, and we actually have that on our campus. There's training on that today, unfortunately at the same time as this. And I'm wondering if you then link to safe zones through the K-12 program, and also if you do that at the higher ed program.
we do.
Awesome.
We do.
That's really
And
cool.
we also do, we do school rallies, we come in. You know, one of the things we're very proud to say is that we are actually the first company that Derek Jeter invested in. We partner with his Turn 2 Foundation, which goes out to the communities and builds community leaders within the education market. So it speaks to the integrity of the company and of the products, because all who know Derek Jeter knows that he's of the highest echelon of professionalism and does not put his name behind anything that could potentially tarnish that reputation. So it's definitely, you know, a powerful tool, and the awareness is out there, but you know, you still have to make people aware, we still have to talk about it, we still have to have that conversation. K through 12, universities, yes, workplace, it's getting there.
Yeah, I think we have one more question over here, and then we'll wrap up.
I was just wondering, how much does it cost for a person to download the app, or for the company to make an agreement with you guys so they can use the app?
So it depends, right? Usually in the education market, there's two different ways. I mean, it's probably less than $1 for a school to get it. What we're working with large insurance companies that insure schools. They are actually absorbing the cost and then passing it through as like a kind of a discount or a reimbursement on their premiums. For organizations, it really depends on the number of users, and it's per user per year versus other kind of SaaS software models, which is per user per month, usually anywhere from $5 to $10. So when you take the cost of what it could potentially cost an organization if this went to litigation, the return on the investment is kind of like a no-brainer, because it's a minimal cost compared to hundreds of millions of dollars that it could cost them. And a reputation that's damaged. I mean, part of the beginning part of the presentation that we did yesterday shows all of the lawsuits, and it's just they come bombarding at you, and you kind of just make it stop because there's just a lot of them. So,
are you finding that the larger organizations, workplace situations are being more proactive in this manner than, let's say, a smaller company that basically they all know, everybody knows what's going on, therefore the culture is that we accept this behavior, so we're not going to go out searching for it. Whereas in the larger corporation that may have places all over the country or even the world, that I can see this type of tool being accepted because they want to weed out those negativities. But the challenge is, how do you get into these smaller companies or organizations that have the culture of
Right.
it's okay?
So it's two different, entities right there. So on the small organizations, they might not use the sophisticated systems, right? They may still be doing spreadsheets or come into my office or send me an email. So it's just a way to make them aware of the technology that's there to make their life easier. So it's great they have that culture. So that's really what the foundation is. This is just the tool now to help manage any cases or deter any of the behavior. With the larger organizations, they always have something in place. They have an 800 number, they have case management systems, but they're convoluted, they're not easy to use, and they're actually not really promoted. They're there for compliance because they have to have it, but they're not really, they don't really encourage the employees to use them that much. So, it depends on the individual company and culture, and you take a look at each one uniquely and just find where the value is for that organization, whether it's new technology or it's just faster, easier way to do what they're doing now.
Yeah, and
Sorry, we gotta move on, Gail. I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Donna.